Hi, I'm Ashley Adamson, and welcome to TransFORM. These are heroic narratives of people who transcend the shapes they are given. This is about the challenges and victories on every person's journey to unlock personal transformation and step into their power. In every episode, we go into a person's history, their starting point, the demons they faced, and how they made it through it. It's my hope that by the end of this episode, you'll feel hopeful in facing your own personal hurdles and knowing that you are not alone and that victory can be achieved. And for our first episode, I have a very good friend and incredible artist, Melina Budde. And please tell to the audience your artist name because I cannot actually pronounce it properly.
Hello to all of you. My artist name is Melina Budde. Comes from Melina Budde, but I felt like that's a little bit too long. And I also like the short version of it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful name. It's really nice how you put it together. And Melina is a very special friend to me. We actually met through Instagram about over a year ago when you were living here in Berlin. And it's just been so amazing since knowing you to see you grow and expand your wings.
It feels like more than a year.
I know, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And so in today's episode, we're going to dive into Melina's personal story and her hero's journey of where she's come from and where she's going, which is very exciting. So before we jump into your story and your journey, I'd love to ask you some basic questions.
Yeah, of course.
And these basic questions you can kind of answer very broadly or very finitely, however you want to. So the first question is, what are you?
What are you? I am a manga-style illustrator, and yeah, that's what I am. I'm like a overall creative soul. Have always been like in so many things that I do. I just have to express my creative energy because there's so much of it, and yeah.
Okay, great. And then who are you?
Who are you? I would say that I am like a very, very hopefully person. Hopefully hopeless person. Because like no matter where I've been, I have always been hopeful, but kind of hopeful because I kind of saw myself in situations where I really couldn't see a bright change, but I always kept like this little glimmer of hope that it will get better. So also kind of romantic view of the world and believing in the happy end and yeah.
That's a really interesting framework to see things through. Can you say it again? Hopelessly hopeful?
Hopelessly hopefully.
Hopelessly hopefully. So that's like there's a sense of hopelessness, but you are hopeful that you can make it through that hopelessness.
Exactly.
Oh my God, that's beautiful. so strong. Wow, look at you. And why are you here?
I'm here because, first of all, I think that we can learn so much by talking. And you know me, I'm like this kind of person. I really like to have real conversations. I like to get into deep topics, and I just love to have like a pure conversation. I'm also here because I love to support you, and I'm very excited that we do this together. And I'm also here because I have like great friends in Berlin. That's why I'm here in Berlin. And yeah.
Thank you for being here, Melina. You're so appreciated. So now we're going to get into the main part of this episode. And this is our first podcast. So welcome to episode 1, by the way. I have had a very dry throat, so my voice is a little messed up today, but that's fine. We're still going to do this. Because you sound spectacular. Look at you. You look amazing. For those at home that can watch the video, I mean, just look at her. She's gorgeous, right? In the hero's journey, we sort of have these 3 main phases. The call to action, which leads you to some kind of departure from your everyday life. And then your initiation, which is the metamorphosis phase, where you're transforming into this kind of like new heroic version of yourself that may have not even seemed possible when you started out. And then the return, which is now you have gone through that metamorphosis and now you return to reality or wherever you are going as a new person, and this time as a hero. So I would love to kind of start with your story by jumping into where you think is best to telling this story of like where you started. And I just want to take a step back and just say like the reason why I'm speaking to Melina and why I think speaking to Melina is so important is because Melina is such a powerful person. She is so actualized in who she is. She's done it at a remarkably young age in knowing who she is and where she's going and what she wants to do. And there are just very few people. How old are you, Melina?
23.
Yeah, there are very few people at 23 that really know themselves this well. Like I am 35 and I meet people in their 30s and their 40s that don't even have this level of intelligence and self-knowingness. And I feel like you have probably gone through, and we're going to hear about it today, some of the most condensing and kind of like crystallizing experiences and things that you've gone through to really find who you are and hone that.
Yeah, and also having like the need to grow.
Exactly. I mean, like growth is never something people like. It's always the pain that kind of can push us into finding some way of meaning and transformation, right? So that's why I wanted to speak to Melina today, because she's just an incredible person that's been doing it at light speed. And maybe we can kind of absorb some of her own inner knowing and magic and transformation in today's episode. So with that, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. So
are you ready?
I think they're ready. Okay, so where do we begin, Melina? Like where is kind of the burning down of the village, like the start of where you depart from everyday life? Like what kind of pushes you away from being normal, quote unquote?
I think I would like to start at a point like really at the beginning of defining my identity, and it's like a really, really spooky place, like from the mindset a spooky place. So for good reason, I've got like 2 tattoos on my wrist, and the one says stay strong and the other one says keep fighting. And these are also the first tattoos that I got when I was 14, 15. That was really like the darkest place I have ever been. I feel like in general, puberty, being a teenager, is very intense for all of us. So I often remind myself we all have our own struggles, and my struggle felt very intense for me, but also for you, whatever you might go through, your struggle is valid as well. There's like no ranking, and it's not like the more heavy your struggle is, the more you have like the right to be sad about it or to ask for help. Because the heaviest thing that you've experienced is the heaviest thing for you, and it feels as intense as it does for me.
Yeah. So what was that for you? Like,
yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that.
So at that point I was
can you set the scene? Like,
yes, the scene is me going to school, feeling very...
How old are you?
I'm 14. I go to school
in Germany.
I feel I'm very tired. I'm so tired that I really poke with my fingernails into my skin to wake myself up. I had like this habit of staying awake for too long because I wanted to avoid going to school and then being super tired and exhausted. So I had to keep myself awake to not fall asleep in the bus and make it to go to school and be there.
Why did you not want to go to school?
Yeah, it's like the whole surrounding that I had, like inside of me, was very dark, and so it was reflecting a lot to the outside. I felt disconnected, especially with myself. In that time, I was still in my male body, and I just knew something feels so wrong. I feel so uncomfortable with myself. I feel so uncomfortable with my body, with everything within me. And I was also struggling with the eating. I was like kind of diving into an eating disorder. I didn't recognize it at first, but I was having like motivations of very young, skinny girls. So I was always looking at women back then already. I just didn't realize that. And at that time, it was really my goal to kind of eat as less that I just collapse. In that age, you might know that if you don't feel good, you want to get some attention, but most of the times you don't get the attention from the person you wanted the most.
Yeah.
So the people that have been the closest to me, which I wanted to talk about, didn't really respond to it, and it was more like other people in my school and teachers who talked to me.
Yeah.
And in that time, it was really like a time where I was walking across the street with my eyes closed. And
Like literally or
no,
figuratively?
for real. I was closing my eyes and I was like, if a car hits me, I don't care. So that was like a point I felt so numb. And
So you were clawing at your hands to stay awake. You didn't want to go to school. You were not eating as much as possible so you could be the skinniest person. You're still not clear as to what your gender is, even though subconsciously it's already clear. And you're walking across the street quite literally with your eyes closed.
exactly.
Okay. Wow, that's quite a scene.
It's definitely like Burning Village. And also kind of the start of me really recognizing I was going through videos and I was always looking for transformation videos, and there were a lot of transformation videos of women who lose a lot of weight, and then it's like an epic transformation from this it was like English videos from, I don't know, 100 something lbs to 95 lbs or whatever.
Body transformations.
Yeah. And then I found a different kind of transformation video, which was from a teenage boy who transformed into a very pretty young woman.
Oh.
And
Was that by accident?
yeah, that was by accident.
Wow.
So it was really in that very dark time where I was cutting myself. I was in groups with people who talked about suicide almost every day. So it was dark, and I was also at the point of I just don't want to keep on living. I don't want to live my life like this. I don't want to feel so sad and disappointed. I have like this kind of idea of a relationship. If I would be in a relationship and like 60 or 70% of the time I would be unhappy, I would break up.
Right.
It should be 60-40, at least 70-30, or like 80-20, 80-20 is like, that's a good relationship.
Yeah.
We all have bad days, but that's good.
Yeah.
And everything below can be critical sometimes, but below like 50-50 is like, what am I doing this for?
And so you were chronically in a bad relationship with your experience.
Yourself,
Yeah.
with myself,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And this video was like the first moment in like a couple of years where I was feeling this kind of like a flame inside of me. There was like so much energy. It was this feeling of that's it.
Oh my God.
Do you know
Wow.
that feeling? It was
Yeah.
like this feeling of that's the thing that I kind of knew, but it wasn't that clear. And in this moment, and no one told me that this is possible. No one told me that I can choose who I want to be, even about my gender.
Right.
But this video showed me I can choose who I want to be. I don't have to be a boy if I don't want to. I can be a woman. I can be whoever I want to be. So that was like the first beginning of me consciously recognizing I can make a decision and I can fight.
Okay, so you've set the scene. You then have like suddenly had this light of fire illuminate within you when you see this transformation video. What's the next thing that goes through your mind? What's the next thing that you do?
So it was like this thought in my mind. I was at that point really very suicidal and very depressed. So I was telling myself, it's like kind of, I don't know, I think groom is a good word, to motivate myself in this kind of way. But I said, going through a transition is going to be very difficult. It's going to be very hard. I might not be happier afterwards, I don't know. But my motivation was, I have got nothing to lose if I try, and I could still suicide later. So
Right.
my motivation was like, I'm not losing anything. I can like give it a try. And if I'm in the end I'm disappointed, I can be like, okay, I can still do
You're in
what
the
I
same
wanted
place.
to do.
Right.
Exactly. So yeah.
Dark, but also like very pragmatic.
Effective,
Yeah.
very effective.
Yeah.
That was really effective. And it's not that like my transition is like the entire journey or the whole journey, but
Right.
this was like the beginning of me realizing I have a choice, and there was a chance, hopefully there is a chance that I can be happy, and that I can experience joy. And during the next years I was going through the transition, and that was kind of it wasn't leaving the village, but it was already like recognizing, okay, there is something going on, and I felt like I had to do a process before I even start the village to be ready for that. And after going through the transition for a couple of years and also having my surgery done, I was at the place where we have like this show in Germany. It's like a model contest. It's Germany's Next Top Model. And people always told me, oh my gosh, you're so tall, especially after like I started to express myself as women. People said like, you're so tall, you're so skinny, you're so pretty, you should go there.
And they're gonna say you would look like a model. You should go on because you have all the attributes of a model.
And at that point, I still had this picture of myself. I was like, I'm tall and I'm skinny, but I'm not pretty. So I didn't feel beautiful at all. I was like very disappointed with myself. I feel like a lot of young people go through that, and it's like hard to really feel your own beauty also at that age. So I think that's kind of the process in general of growing up and finding value in yourself and also in your appearance.
Yeah.
And my mom told me, if you go there, chances are that everyone who watches will know that you are transgender. They might talk about it.
Right.
They might make a topic out of it. They might make it big. And I was at this point, I was really hiding myself from being transgender. I wasn't like open with it.
Okay.
And I tried to kind of pretend not being transgender. And because I knew going to this show would make it public, that I wanted to force myself to stand behind myself. So I knew I wouldn't do it on myself, and this show might force me into a position of telling a lot of people about being transgender.
Right. You might have to reveal it, your identity and who you are on public television because of the backstory and the drama that they always want to create on these reality shows.
Exactly.
So how did that go? How did the show go? How was that experience?
The show was really like, when I was going there, I said I'm going there so that all the people who say that I should go there shut up.
Yeah.
And I can tell them, I was going there, they didn't took me, I told you.
Yeah, right.
But they did took me. And
oh my God.
In the decisions, I was really crying because I was like, oh my gosh, why do you choose me? I'm not even beautiful. They all so pretty. So I had like this feeling of, why do they even choose me? They are all so way more beautiful as I am. I didn't understood it. And back then I was so shy. I was so insecure. You haven't met me back then, but you also wouldn't recognize me. I was like totally hiding myself. Like my whole body posture, everything was like I wouldn't disappear.
Off. Yeah.
And this show kind of forced me out of my shell. It really pulled me out. And that's also like
So this is part of your transformation, this show.
Also, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And that was the beginning of the journey, because I was always in my hometown, hiding myself, and then we have been traveling with the show.
Yeah, where did you travel to? Where did you go?
We have been going to Paris, but we have been going to France, we've been going to Spain, we've been going to like Barcelona, not Mallorca, Minorca.
Yeah.
We've also been flying to Los Angeles, so the first time
Wow.
for me leaving the continent and going to a different continent.
And can you describe kind of like what the entourage of being on Germany's Next Top Model is like? Because most people probably are in the United States, haven't seen the show, but they could imagine like you have camera crews, like 5 or 10 camera crews. You probably have like 50 production staff, and then you have like all these models. Is there like a bus? Like what's the, can you paint a picture for like a typical day on set? Yeah.
You kind of really already put it very together.
Okay.
Because
Sweet.
it is like that. You have like a very big team, and this is also like an important part of the journey, because being on the set showed me there are all of these people, like the makeup artists, the interviewers, the camera people. I saw they live those passion. They do a job that they are burning for. They are following those desires, and I was talking to them, and they have been like amazing personalities, like really kind and open-minded and friendly, and you know, like these people that just you remember them because they have like some kind of aura. And for me, coming from like that town, being in the show, being surrounded by all of these creative people, that was like an entire new world.
Totally different world.
So being on set was like you wake up and you have people around you the entire day that you don't know. You don't have your phone, so you're totally locked away from the rest of the world, and you have to wake up early. You go to the shows, you get your makeup, you wait a lot of times, you have the shootings, you have challenges, you have pressure, you are seen the entire time, you are filmed the entire time, so you're always scared about what do I say, what should I say, what shouldn't I say. Everything can be on TV, you know.
And they're trying to create drama, right?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. And so what did you, in this part of the experience, like what was the transformative thing for you? Because you've now left the quote-unquote village. Yeah.
For me, like the big turning point was, in the beginning, I had this feeling of they will not even take me. But while being there, I kind of evolved like a desire to win. You know, I was just going to prove that they will not take me, to prove to myself that this was not going to be real anyways. But once I was there, and once I was in LA and I was going through a few decisions, it was like 5 or 10,000 women. I was in the end in like the top 20 already.
Yeah.
So I realized, okay, it's kind of getting serious.
Yeah.
And at that point, for the first time, I realized, you know what? I want to win.
Why
Like,
not?
when I'm here, when they already choose me, when I'm here, I have to be pretty. Otherwise, and in the beginning, I told myself they just have me for making fun out of me. So I really tried to trick myself to still not believe that I'm pretty.
Insecurity. Yeah.
But I realized I could, why not? I want to win.
Yeah. I mean, you came this far. You didn't expect to get this far. And so far, reality has shown you that you were wrong about your own expectations.
Yeah.
So now why not flip those expectations and see if you can actually take the opportunity and seize it. I feel like that's a part of you that may have been there the whole time, is like seizing the opportunity. Like just like last night when we were hanging out and I had like this call with my healer. You were just hanging out on the bed reading, and you just suddenly just jumped into the meditation with me. You're like, oh, I'll just take this opportunity. Or this morning when I'm going to work out, and you're like, I'm just gonna jump in and work out with you. I feel like that's a very powerful, admirable quality to have, to kind of find these opportunities, to find your way out of situations when opportunity kind of arises. So I feel like that's something about you that's special and that has been around for quite a while, I would have to say. So you, back to your story, so you've kind of like, you started to flip your perspective on things, and you're starting to change your perception of what is possible. So is this kind of like where the story climaxes, or how does this continue?
I feel like we're now at the part of I see what's out there. It's not just it's like there's this first journey that pulls me out of the shell,
Yes.
and like I didn't want the show.
Right.
So the show wasn't it. That wasn't the thing. But this show was like the beginning for me to realize I can change.
Yes.
I can change myself. Because already within the show, like I realized that I changed. I started to believe in myself, which I never have before. And for the first time, I believed that I could go some higher places. I would have never allowed myself first to go.
Yeah.
So even after I didn't win the show, I was very sad and disappointed, because at that time I really was like, okay, you know what, I'm going to win.
Yeah, you gotta have that attitude, right?
I was the 17th or 16th from like 10,000 girls, so that still was good. And like being on television in Germany and like the past time, it was like the next big challenge for me, like also being in public eye and having people noticing you was like another big crash of my self-image,
All the attention.
and another big challenge for my insecurities. Because then the reality hits you. You are like on this amazing adventure. You see all of these things, but you forget the impact that it might have on your life,
Yeah.
and that things later will be different. So from first being a person that feels like no one likes me, I'm not good enough, I'm not pretty enough, I now was in a position of people want to take pictures of me, but not because they like me, just because they want to have some of that glow. So
Right.
it was really like
The celebrity thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And that was like kind of the next challenge. I was doing then social media for a while. I was kind of trying to keep up this image of
Were you out as trans? Did that ever
yes,
happen?
that was like in the show. They once told me you can decide if you wanna talk about it yourself, or we will just ask you on camera.
Okay.
And so
you did.
yeah, I did.
Okay.
For me, kind of it wasn't that much of a big deal because I kind of planned to talk about it. I wanted to make myself vulnerable, to grow as a person who's like, I'm proud of being transgender.
And how was the reaction to that?
The reaction was really positive.
That's great.
Yeah. From all of the girls, I was like even insecure to tell the other girls with whom I was there, and the reaction have been really positive. Also from like the show, it was never that I received like negative messages via social media and
Hate
stuff.
mail and stuff
No,
like that.
not at all. Like it was really, really positive. The entire team, the crew was really amazing.
That's beautiful.
They really supported me.
Totally surprised.
And yeah, for some kind of way, for me, being transgender has never been like the big thing. I had like my mental struggles. I have like my deep demons, and being transgender always felt like it's a thing on the side that I still walk on, and that
Right.
still can make me become who I am. But also my family reacted very positive, and I'm really blessed about that. No one besides myself and men, I have to say that too, like cis men, a lot of you have really hurt me a lot and made me feel like being transgender is absolutely gross and disgusting, and it's a reason to hate me. They have been the only people who gave me
I
bad
totally
feelings
relate.
about being transgender, but everyone else, you know, I just wanted to mention that so that you still see the reality. But my family, my friends, women in general, everyone in the LGBTQ community, have always been very supportive and very lovely, and
Yeah, except hot cis men, especially.
they haven't even been pretty enough that they haven't even been worth it to get that disappointed. So
Yes, girl. So you went through that experience. You went through Germany's Next Top Model. You said that being transgender wasn't kind of like the big thing, the big demon for you to conquer. What was that big mountain to climb, the big thing to overcome that kind of really helped you crystallize into who you've become today?
especially from the perspective that I have now, you know, I could crystallize everything that I thought this might be my issue. After going through after like 6 years of being myself and being a woman, I still had my dark times, and I still faced my depression moods and my suicidal thoughts. So I realized, okay, being transgender was really a thing that made a lot of stuff difficult and painful. But after being myself, these dark times haven't been solved. So I realized there is more behind it. And I started to go after the show. I was just back home at my hometown for a week, and I said to my parents, I'm going to move to Berlin, because I got the opportunity from a friend to stay there for a while. And my parents said after a month, you will come back. And I didn't. So I proved them that I do my thing if I really want to. And so from like being, maybe that's about like the maturity from being 19, I make my own money, I live by myself, I support myself, and I really do my thing.
Yeah.
I am independent.
Yeah.
And I started for a while to follow the modeling, because these people have showed me I can live my passion, but I didn't quite know what my passion was. So I thought, okay, this model thing is...
You kind of went with the framework that they gave you to start with.
Yeah, and what
Right.
other people told me you could be a model, so I was like, okay, I'm going to try modeling. I did that for a while. I had some jobs. It was interesting, but after a while I realized it's just not my industry. Like this feeling of being the pretty doll that's getting adjusted. You know, like... I think you might have an image of a shooting, but sometimes it's really like you're in a pose. For the people who can see it right now, I will explain you what I do. So I'm like in the pose, and the photographer will say you, okay, chin up a little bit, a little bit, a little bit, a little bit, and stop. Okay, look at me. Okay, like that. Okay, ups, eyes ups, okay, perfect, stay like this. You know?
It's like adjusting a doll. Yeah.
Yes, many shootings have been like that. So there have been like just a couple of shootings with cool people who have been like, you know, maybe try something with your shoulder, and that was it. But I realized that's just like part of that industry, and of course being reduced a lot only on being a beautiful piece of meat.
Your physical form, that's it. Yeah.
And I felt like I am also a creator. I have like a lot of ideas, and even with like the shootings, I had so many ideas that I wanted to bring into, but I realized this is not the job to bring in creative ideas.
You did not have that kind of power to make those decisions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
so how did that? So you moved to Berlin. You didn't have anything lined up when you arrived to Berlin?
No.
Okay,
I
so
had like some savings.
I feel like we just kind of like covered a really big part of your life. So you just moved to Berlin without any job leads or anything.
I had like 2,000 euros.
Okay, so 2,000 euros, a suitcase or two, and
true.
you kind of like, you just figured it out? Like, can you tell me a little bit about that process? Because I feel like for some of the people listening or watching, like this is... Even just moving to a new city and starting over again without any job leads and not knowing exactly what you're going to do.
6 hours away from my hometown.
Yeah.
So not around the corner.
Yeah, it's kind of a big deal because you're kind of you're just starting over again, right?
Yes.
So maybe you could tell a little bit about that part of your journey and how it's shaped you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was kind of the first moment also out of, you know, making your decisions based on what your family and friends advise you to do.
Going against that.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
Like
you got to do that.
already with like my mom said me I should not go to that model show. That was like the first part of breaking free. But that moving away from my home city was really like a part of, I do this for me and I see potential. Just like, you know, there was this little voice inside of myself that said, I see potential in you. You should do that.
And I'm starting to see this journey a little bit because you've left your hometown, and the first adventure to leave your hometown was Germany's Next Top Model,
Exactly.
which was like this kind of like speedboat that just took you off for a while, took you a bunch of places. You came back to your old city, old town, and you're like, I'm changed. I'm not the same person anymore.
Yes.
And now I need to go off and do something else, because now I'm starting to believe in myself and I'm starting to see where my next adventure lies, right?
Yes.
And so you go to Berlin, and so now you're here in Berlin, and yes, please tell me what happens next. I'm kind of like
It was
excited
also
about this.
like before going to the show, I started an education as a hair stylist, and I had a relationship. This show showed me after I came back, I'm in a toxic relationship, and I'm in a job that's not making me happy. That I just
Are we talking about? Did we rewind back before Berlin?
that was like at the point of making the decision.
Oh,
So
okay.
really, as you say, I was getting into such different kind of vibes and energy when I came back. The contrast between, I feel like if I wouldn't have been part of the show, I might have been still stuck in my hometown in that toxic relationship.
Totally.
And with that job that I don't like and that would never ever have made me happy.
Because you got taken to a place where you could see the stars, so to speak.
Yes.
And now you've seen the stars. You can't unsee that, right? And now you're seeing the world totally differently.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I kind of, I don't know how strong my feeling was of things will work out, but I just knew I have like a very strong desire to be there. And
In Berlin.
in Berlin.
Okay.
And the first month in Berlin have showed me also for the rest of my for the rest of my future, this has showed me when you go and you take a risk, you get rewarded. Going there was a big risk. These savings have been for my first car, for my parents. So that was like some saving that I could have used in my hometown to just like get a comfy life. And I used these savings to take a big risk and just go to a new city that I don't know. And within a couple of months, everything has been falling into place. And I think when you start getting into personal growth, you will often hear that taking a big risk, taking a big chance, often there is some energies working out which will support you a lot, right? I think you have experienced that a lot as well. You also moved to many places and started new.
Yeah. You're talking about sort of like when you start following your heart, to put it another way, when you start following your heart and listening to yourself, your intuition can guide you into pathways that actually accelerate you towards your destination that you're meant to be going towards.
Yeah.
The thing that kind of brings you into this new stage of your life. And so you kind of took this risk, not knowing exactly how it's going to turn out, but you had the direction correct. You knew what direction you wanted to go.
And I realized I had to change.
Yeah.
I was at this point where it wasn't, it didn't felt like an option. Because,
there was only one choice.
Yeah, I felt like everything else would have made me so incredible unhappy. I just had to make that change. And
I call that the path. The like in every kind of warrior's journey, we kind of like find that path, and there's no other option but to walk that path, because every other option is just not feasible when you look at the path. You say, this is the only real way forward, and it's inconceivable to consider any other way.
You could like look at the burning village and the crying people, or you go through that very stony, painful path, but you don't want to look at the crying, burning people.
Yeah.
Right? That's what you mean. You don't feel like you really have a choice.
Yeah, and you can go back and you can go that direction. You do have free will to make that choice of going another direction, but it's so obvious what direction you need to go that you need to step into that. Has that happened to you, audience at home? Like, have you had that moment in your life where you've seen that path forward? What did it feel like to you? And where has it taken you? And if you haven't found that path yet, that's okay. Be aware that it's out there and that it's always calling if you listen.
And if you're looking for it, and if you really search for it, it will appear. It will not just knock at your door if you just sit there, drink your coffee and wait. But if you go, right, if you go outside and you look for ways to change your life and to design your destiny, then it will come.
Yeah. And I may say sometimes that I was gonna say like that it kind of comes from within, but I'm relating back to your story of when you saw that transformation video of boy to girl. That was kind of on the outside, but your feeling of realizing it was on the inside.
Exactly.
And so there's sort of this interplay with the world in which you kind of touch the outer world, you play around with it, you try things, you figure things out, and it interacts with you. And when you listen to that part within you, suddenly things can just click. So back to your Berlin story. So you've spent a couple months, and now you're a model right now, and you're figuring things out. Tell me about sort of like the setting the scene here. What are kind of the struggles? What are some of the what's like kind of like the main struggle, and what's that next big thing that you realize to kind of get over that struggle?
Yeah, so it was kind of figuring out, growing up, figuring out how to just survive, finding a job, working for the first time. For a lot of hours, I was starting to work as a waitress because that was just like the easiest thing to get into.
Right.
And it taught me a lot about the basics of really working, appearing, doing a good job. I was working in a Chinese dim sum restaurant.
Oh my god, I
The
love
Flying
Chinese dim
Monkey,
sum.
If it's still there, I hope that it's still there. It's really awesome.
Is it good?
It's really good.
Okay, it's in Berlin.
It's in
I've been
Berlin.
looking for a dim sum spot. Really? You serve
Yes.
dim sum? Oh
Yes.
my god. I did not know
It was
that.
also like kind of making connection to my love to China and Japan and Asia in general. So I was always attracted. There have been like many restaurants and places, but when I saw this place, I was like, I want to be here. And the thing is, where I wanted to be, I made the decision I want to work there, and I did. So I was having like, these are, I think, very basic and typical experiences of you go to work, you figure out what you want, where you want to live. I was living in a VG, I was living by myself. I was making like the usual experiences of growing up, working with customers. And I came to a point, I don't know what it was. I was like not breaking my ankle, but kind of hurting my ankle. And I was going to the library. I always liked reading books, but I've been reading like very, entertaining books. So there was this book that I found. It's a little bit embarrassing, the title of the book, but it was kind of the book that
What's the title of the book?
that grabbed my attention. So the book title was How to Be a Superstar.
Hey, I mean, that's a good book to go for.
It's definitely like putting a lot of faith in myself and a lot
Yeah.
of trust in myself.
Do it, girl.
This book was like after being part of that show and after like kind of
Right,
experiencing
right.
these things, I didn't knew anything about how to embrace and express yourself.
Yeah.
So this was the first self-improvement, personal growth book I have ever been reading.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And the book was really good. It was a book that taught stuff like when you go into a room, don't ask yourself if you're good enough. Know that you shine bright. Take the space, take the room, express
Command
your
it.
energy.
Yeah.
Kind of each time that you go through a door, remember yourself, you go into a new spot where you can express yourself, you can meet people, it's exciting. And to look at the people and decide if you like them. And not ask yourself if they like you.
Right. Wow, this is all making sense in terms of how I know you, because when I met you, you were just like, like, I'm a superstar, and like, yeah, like everyone can kind of like, I like them, and all the things you're mentioning, like, it's now making a lot more sense in terms of like your persona when I met you.
Because we haven't been talking a lot of these things that I'm telling now.
Yeah, I mean,
Not
we're
as well.
uncovering so
Yes.
many more stories about your history, which I'm really loving. So, okay, so you read the book about how to be a superstar. What did that do to you?
It was like I realized reading about personal growth can help you to make drastic changes. So this book was like the beginning of my journey of reading a lot of books about self-improvement.
Yeah.
Because I saw immediate results. I'm this kind of person, I read a book, the book says, do this, and I do it. I don't say it's false or whatever. I take it as a statement and I give it a try. That's what I still do when I get advice. I give it a try. If
A
I
test
like,
run.
yeah, if I
Yeah.
like the result, I keep on doing it. If not, I don't.
Yeah.
And I was already at the point of becoming more confident and going to many places, going alone on parties and doing everything to overcome my fears and my anxiety of people, of talking to people, all of these things that I've always been carrying with me from that depression phase. I was starting to work on them and break free from all of these burdens.
Okay, wait, so stop here because I'm noticing an ongoing pattern which maybe you haven't covered, but it sounds to me like you always have this innate, almost like relentless energy to somehow get to a better place, to push yourself further. You're reading this book, you're saying ways to improve yourself. When did that happen? Because when we started, when you were 14, it didn't sound like you had any energy in kind of saying, no, I can do better. I can push myself to do more.
I mean, at that point, I started when I felt like I have to be a boy. I was looking at other boys and I was looking at how they behave, and I tried to behave in the same way to kind of have a better standard and, like, you know, this society system or whatever. So I always loved learning. I always loved growing.
Okay, so that's always been a part of you.
And also, like, being in that eating disorder thing, I was also ambitious to lose a lot of weight, and I did very successfully. So there was always like a big power within myself to do things.
To apply things in a fashion that is like much deeper cutting.
Yeah.
But it was just applied in ways that were not healthy for you to start with, and now you have kind of fine-tuned your compass a bit to slice more towards the direction of things that are healthy and good for you.
Using that energy in the right direction.
Okay. Wow, that's really interesting. So it's like it's like this innate part of you that's there, and it can apply itself in many ways. It's like the yin yang, you know. It's like it can be used for light or for dark, and your kind of equilibrium to start was not in a good place, but as you moved it and shuffled it more towards the good direction, it started to hone itself through personal growth and personal development. So you mentioned this book, you mentioned kind of the personal growth that comes out of it. What do you want to tell next? What is the emergence from this thing?
This book was really that book was the beginning of what, maybe it's because the journey that I'm kind of still in right now, but what for me feels like the journey.
Yeah.
Because I think we have many journeys in our life.
Oh my God.
And when
so much
one
journey.
is finished, we start a new journey.
Yeah.
And from that on, I started to read a lot of these books. I kind of became, in a very positive way, addicted to learning, because I just love that you can read a book of someone who's putting his thoughts very crystallized, a topic that this person has been doing researches for decades.
Right.
And you can absorb it and apply it to your own assets and get better at so many things. So then I was keeping on reading books about...
Okay, addicted to learning. You're now going so hard on this.
Discipline, time management, that have been like the first books. So after discipline and time management, I managed to learn as much as possible and to grow as fast as possible. And from like 20 till now 23, almost 24, I have been reading. I have like list 50 to like, you know, books with impact. There are like a couple of books, I think like 10, 15 books are, or like, no, like 10 books are art books, but 40 of these books have all been about self-improvement.
You've read way more books than I have.
a lot of classics, like Now by Eckhart Tolle, The Secret.
That's a good one, yeah.
Also from Tony Robbins, a couple of books, Thinking Fast and Slow, Think and Grow Rich from Napoleon Hill. Many of the classics, but also a lot of books that just attracted me.
Trans Kung Fu by Ashley Adamson.
Also. And all of these books really helped me to get to the point of I can make this life my life. I have a choice. Like a lot of things happen in between, but from this time on, I realized I can choose who I want to be and where I want to go. And with these books, so many things changed,
Yeah.
how I see myself. Also realizing being transgender does not mean that I cannot be a very inspiring, unique, passionate, lovely, charming, funny, cool. Like, it's not defining me in any kind of way. So I now knew when I set
You can have all
myself
of
up
those
to a role
characteristics.
model,
Yeah.
I can become whoever I want to be.
Yeah.
And now I'm at this point, and this is like the big contrast. So from being 14 years old and really thinking about suicide every single day, I'm now at a point where I work on my own creative career, where I have found out what my passion is, my real passion, from thinking it's modeling, getting into art and illustration, which is a different story. But it's
Right.
yeah, and I mean, now we are sitting here, I start to meet super incredible people. I am still dedicated to learning and to reading and to growing, which I can just so highly recommend you. If it's a book, if it's a podcast, if it's a YouTube video, take advices. It can push you forward so much. You know that as well as I do.
For sure.
And now being at a point where I trust the process. I see what I've been through, and I know my goals are going to become reality, because so many of my goals, I wanted to be an incredible, beautiful woman. That was like kind of the goal from the trans experience. I'm there now. I feel very pretty. I feel very good about myself. I feel very confident. From the desire of I feel lonely, no one loves me, I'm now at this point of I know I'm a lovely person. I'm lovable. And from feeling like this life is exhausting and kind of a loss, being to I'm so grateful to be here and to be able to grow and to be able to learn. And yeah, if I would now talk to my 14 years old self,
Yeah, tell me what you'd say.
what I would say is definitely stay hopelessly hopefully. Just keep that little bit of hope within you, because I wasn't even if it was so dark, I was like, but it could still change. I could still be happy somehow. I just felt like it seems impossible right now.
Right.
But I just don't want to give that little hope up.
Yeah.
And like these two tattoos, and to stay strong and to keep fighting. Now I would never throw away the possibilities that I have and the life that I have. And I'm so thankful for every person that I met on this journey, for every experience that forces me to grow. There are many more experiences in between. There are many things that happen, many situations that really forced me to grow out of myself. Also taking help, going through therapy. I really recommend therapy. To talk with people, to share your insecurities, to really look for as many ways as possible to get better and to grow.
Yeah.
To take that and to be patient with yourself.
Yeah, it's a super big one. And I love that your tattoos be strong and keep fighting. Like, that's such a warrior's path, like motto right there. So I'm like, oh yeah, I'm hanging out with the right person right now. Warriors, I see you. So now we're at the present moment. You are now here as this person with this like artist kind of mentality. You're now creating. You're reading lots of books. Tell me about where you are now and where you want to take things. What do you want to do next? What is the thing that is pulling you forward?
I'm now at this point where we have many of these phases where we feel like I'm now who I am. Of course, we always keep on defining ourselves,
Right.
but in so many ways I've figured out the core of my personality.
Oh yeah.
I have this feeling, it's like a very good metaphor of imagine you're sitting on the poker table and you have your cards, your poker cards in your hand. And you have like a few different opportunities. You can first of all complain about the cards that you have, which in the end will not change anything because this is the cards that you have. You
can't change those
what
cards.
You want to do. If you want to say, I skip, let's say this one round of poker is your life, and if you skip it, you go to your next existence. Like that would be a very sad poker party.
You can't fold. There's no folding here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm at this point where I see my cards, and for the first time, I know. It doesn't matter what cards I'm having in my hands. My cards are my personalities, my talents, my characteristics, my
Your physical shape.
Yeah. My physical shape. These are my cards. And now I know I play these cards with an attitude. I know I have the best poker face on the poker table anyways. And if my life is a poker party, for me, as the personality that I am, and that I think my story also kind of shows, there is just one possibility. I see my cards, I lay them opposite on the table, I have all of my poker chips, and I go all in. And I feel like this is more a picture of what my future is going to look like. I know these are my assets, and I play them with attitude and with pride and with confidence.
And you go all in.
And I go all in.
Yeah. That's a big one. Going all in is so important, especially when you want to change the direction of your life and you want to activate so much momentum. You really have to go all in, because without going all in, kind of like saying, oh, well, I'll kind of do this thing, or I'll sort of do that, or I'll work a little bit on that. It takes so much more energy to get that momentum going. You have to like literally leave a city and be in a situation where you don't know anyone and you have to start from scratch, and all you have is your 2 suitcases and 2,000 euros to get going, because now you're all in. And that's going to put you in situations where you're going to start thinking about how can you make things happen for yourself? Where are you going to go next? If you have an easy exit strategy, it's not too big of a problem. Like I don't need to try that hard. Then you'll never pick up that momentum. And I've seen that firsthand from experiences where I haven't done that as well. And every time that you show up 100% to really push it and go forward, you can really get the momentum going and really activate that change. And if if it doesn't work, you can say, I tried.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
And if it doesn't work and you didn't try, you can say, well, I could have tried.
If it didn't work, you still sit at that table.
Yeah.
You might didn't win the poker party, but you still sit there. Like, the worst thing that happens is that you get back to where you are right now. And if that's the worst thing, and that is the worst thing, then,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it.
Thank you, Melina, so much for joining me on this podcast. Is there anything else that we didn't touch on that you would like to share, or any kind of other messages that you'd like to get out there
Yes.
to those who are watching, listening?
Yes.
Of course.
I want you to know where you are right now. It might be very ugly. It might be very exhausting. You might feel like there's no reason, there's no hope. You might feel like it will always stay the way it is. Trust me, it won't. It's going to change if you take risk, if you do your homework, and if you set a goal, and if you dare to step out of your comfort zone. And I really want you to give it a try. The way that I try to go through transition, just to keep myself and my will alive, to keep on living. I want you to try, because there's nothing that you can lose. You have got this one ticket. We don't know what happens after this life. So make this your party, make this your VIP journey to planet Earth, and go all in.
Well, we're going all in, Melina. Thank you for joining us today. Oh, you hit the mic.
The mic is going all in as
Yeah,
well.
the mic. Great, I love it. We'll leave that in then. Thank you for joining us today. This was our first episode of TransFORM with Melina Budde. And can you say like some of your social media, where to follow you, like where people can reach out and see more of you?
So when you go on my Instagram account, Budde, that's like the place where you can find links to my YouTube channel, you can find my Instagram post, and that's kind of the base. So whatever I'm doing, I will always keep connected to that Instagram account, and you can always also get on my website. So, Melina Budde, you can also Google that.
I'll put it in the links and description and stuff,
Yeah.
but Instagram sounds like your preferred.
Yeah, that's
okay,
the spot.
For sure. Okay, well, thank you for joining us for our first episode. I'm Ashley Adamson, and say yourself.
Do you?
No, your name.
Oh, I'm Melina. I'm Melina Budde.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for joining us, and have a great evening wherever you are in the world. We'll see you again in the next episode. Bye.